Hey guys, Lord Nuts Sue here, and today we're gonna be doing part 2 of What If deku was like a daredevil with perfect memory and being as smart as Tony Stark. And yeah, should I'm gonna do I'm gonna add some stuff that I didn't add from previously. While they were while they were cleaning up the trash from the beach, Mina found a metal that, basically, she found titanium. And he's like, hey, Suku, what type of metal is this? And she tosses it towards him, and you heard it in the air, and pretty much grabbed it, and felt it, and goes like, oh, this is titanium. It's like, cool. And then he hears like a, sorry about that. Anyway, while Zuko and Mina were, and right when Zuko felt the titanium, and you said, oh, this is titanium. And Mina was shocked. Then he heard pretty much something falling down from the pile that he's made. That was stuck in something. And it pretty much comes down. And then it falls down right next to him. And he picks it up and goes like, Pretty much he's smiling. And he's like, what is it? Is it cute? And then he shows her this baby. Yeah, a retractable bow staff. And he's like, this is perfect. And Rita's like, why is that? It's like, I can make it better. We can finally get you a weapon to use. And she's like, oh, yeah. She's pretty much clapping her hands together and go like, yes. Because yeah, she's been wanting to use some type of weapon. She pretty much didn't care. As long as it was something close to his ears. And she was like, give me a second. And then he's like, oh, wait, idea. And she's like, what is it, Izuku? You should click on this. Pretty much pointing to the middle of the titanium bar. He's like, okay. And he goes, do the maximum of your quirk can do. And she does it, and it starts melting it very slowly, though. And he's like, just keep using it until the metal completely melts off. And she does that. Then we skip 30 minutes later, and the middle of it finally melts off. And it's the middle of it she melted off was the size of the handle for the bow staff. And now it was like, alright, now for this. And he pretty much chops off the sides of that bow. Pretty much pulled out the sides of that bow staff. And then he's like, now. And he grabs the titanium of those titanium bars and pretty much forced them into that bow staff thing. And he's like, Mina. And she's like, okay. And she pretty much melts it so it would stay in there. Basically, he made it so the handle would be the same, but the bars, pretty much the metal part of it is the titanium bars. It's like, perfect. And it's like, now let's see. He pretty much retracts it, and it does it perfectly. He's like, perfect. It's like, and then he goes like, catch. And she catches it, and it's like, ooh, I like it. It's like, good. Because that's your weapon now. And yeah, she will have the same outfit she had in the original. Only for a little while. Now we get back to where I left off. Which I think was with Aizawa talking to Izuku at the end of the first day. Now we get to. Now we see. Now we continue this off with Mina and Izuku walking off. Yeah, and Mina's like, Izuku? And he's like, yes, Mina? He's like, you want to go out to eat? And it's like, I don't mind. And he's like, okay. And then they go out to eat. And he just asks, where do you want to go? And he's like, she just pretty much says a restaurant that, yeah, they'll both like. And he's like, oh, I've been there before. Okay, okay, we'll go there. And they go there. So, yeah. Then we see, now we pretty much get to that. Right after they eat that, she was like, hey Mina, you want to piggyback ride? And Mina's like, you had never done that before? It's like, well, that's starting now. And she's like, okay. And she pretty much gets a piggyback ride from Izuku. And to him, she is a bunny. Yeah, she is a bunny to him. Like, that's how much, like, to him, she is a bunny that he's holding in his hands. So yeah, and they pretty much run towards his house. And Zuko's like, and then they stop, and Zuko just, alright. And then he pretty much stops right in front of his house and places her down. And then they, right before they pretty much went their separate ways. Zuko was like, pretty much in his mind, nah, what the heck? And pretty much kisses her on the cheek. He goes like, see what's wrong, Mina? And he pretty much walks into his house. And Mina's like, he's more red than usual and goes like, ugh. Yeah. Now we get to the next. Sorry about that. Now we get to the next day, and they meet up. Like, and Mina meets up with Izuku at his house. And they pretty much start walking towards the UA ground. And she's like, so what was that kiss yesterday? And he's like, what kiss? Pretty much playing dumb. And she's like, stop playing dumb. It's like, fine. He gets out. He pretty much makes his fingers touch each other and pretty much blushes. And she's like, okay, now I want to know. And he's like, in his mind, he's like, what the heck? And he pretty much goes like, hey, Mina? It's like, yeah. She pretty much turns to him. Well, first they get, I'm gonna say they pass an alleyway, and she just knows exactly where this alleyway is. It's like, what the heck? And he goes like, hey, Mina? He's like, yeah. And he pretty much grabs her arm and pretty much pulls her into the alleyway and goes like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "This," and he pretty much kisses her on the lips. Yes. It, and then she was like, just then after done kissing her, go like, "Did that answer your question?" Pretty much, pretty much him still blushing, but him calm, and she's like, yeah." It's like, good. And he's like, and she's like, "Where did this come from?" It's like, um, me having a crush on you for a few years. And she's like, "How long?" It's like, 4. And she's like, "Oh, wait, what?" And it's like, he's like, "Yeah." And then he asks, "Do you like me in that way?" And she goes like, "Yes, for 2 years now." And he's like, "Hmm, very interesting." And pretty much both of them want to say at the same time, you want to be a couple? And they're like, they just stop for a second and go like, it's pretty much a laugh and go like, we, how did we not think of the same thing at the same time? They're both like, I don't know. And Azhu just goes like, "You answer my question, then I'll answer yours." And she's like, "Alright." I say yes. And Azhu goes like, "And I say yes." And then yeah, that's how they become a couple. Now we see them just walking out of there and start walking faster towards UA. Yeah, then we get to them get into the UA compound. And yeah, they're slightly blushing. So anyone that actually looks directly is like just looking directly at them and focusing on their cheeks. You will see the blushing on both of them. And yeah, if I forgot to mention this last time, Mina does sit next to Izuku. So yeah. And we get to when Aizawa gets into the class with, pretty much everyone being there, and he talks about the USJ. And Izuku just was like, hmm. Okay, and when they get onto the bus, Mina is sitting right next to Izuku. And then, yeah, pretty much any boy that, oh, pretty much, Mineta, Denki, and, Mineta, Denki, and that guy with the sparkles ask if, just after a few minutes on the bus, ask if those two are a couple. And Suku and Mina just say at the same time, yes. And they look at each other and laugh. And they're like, and pretty much everyone's like, it's so funny. It's like, that happened this morning as well. And they're like, huh? It's like, we only live 10 blocks away from each other. And yeah. But I was just pretty much saying, lucky. And Shuko's like, well, if you weren't such a perv, maybe you would get a girl. But you're a perv. So, he pretty much pulls up a middle finger onto Mineta and goes like, so, fuck you. And Mineta's like, hey. And so he was like, well, does anyone in this bus disagree with me that he's a freaking perv? And pretty much all of them, well, except Baguio because he's not paying attention, go like, you're not wrong. And he's like, thank you. No, wait, no, I forgot that Midoriya isn't even on the in class 1A anymore. So yeah. Oh, and yeah. Just pretend I didn't say anything about Mineta in this. And when they get to USJ, basically, I forgot to say this. Pretty much, the girl with the front quirk ask. Pretty much they ask each other about their quirks, but yeah, when they get to Deku's was like, there's two people in this bus that can quickly tell you. Well, three, if we count Aizawa. And when he heard her name, he goes like, And Zuko goes like, Zuko just said in mouth, pretty much says without actually speaking, just mouthing the words. Pretty much says without sound coming out of his voice. They're talking about they asked about my quirk. Pretty much mouthing that to Aizawa. And Aizawa was like, oh. And yeah, Mina knows he's quirkless. And yeah, Bakugo's is not even paying attention to Deku, so yeah. And Suki's like, so Mina, should I tell them or should you? She's like, I'll do it. And like, alright then. And she goes like, well, he's quirkless. And they're like, wait, what? It's like, yeah. And she goes like, yeah. For one, I'm blind. And they're like, wait, what? It's like, yeah. And for some reason, I'm crazy smart, and I have perfect memory. And they're like, oh. And she was like, and that's not even a quirk. So, even if Aizawa tried to, you can't erase it. They're like, oh. Freak. It's like, yeah. And is smart enough to make a hypothesis of someone having a quirk that could take and give quirks. And he's thought of it, and he's like, I'm gonna ask all my puncher question later on. Or, yeah, that's what he's thinking in his mind while and now we get to the RJ. And that hero that was there, that pretty much has a quick up black hole, talks about how quartz can be dangerous. And Itsuka's like, hmm. And then Itsuka's like, excuse me, but some quirks can't even be dangerous. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, look at Aizawa. And he's like, he can't even use his quirk to harm people. He can only use it to cancel others' quirks. The only thing that could make him actually deadly is his skill alone. And his experience. And what's and let's say someone had a quirk that could just hurt. And some people don't even have quirks that can be dangerous at all, like Aizawa. And she's like, you got a point there, but still quirks can be dangerous. It's like, yeah, but there's just quirks that can also be not dangerous at all, and just are close to useless, unless you know how to use them correctly. And Aizawa was like, you're too smart. You are too smart. And it's like, I know. I don't know why though. And so I was like, wait, you don't? It's like, no. I was crazy smart when I was 4. Don't know how. I don't care. Yeah, it helped me, so I'll take it. And I was like, this is interesting. And yeah, then Kishore goes like, whoa, we even have fake villains? And Izuku's like, And Izuku's like, Aizawa. And Aizawa's like, I know. And no, actually, Aizawa's like, what is it? Is your Midoriya? I was like, I think you know what to do. Do your job, Aizawa. Erase your head. And Aizawa was like, I was gonna do that anyway. And she was like, Mina. She's like, on. And she's like, and then she was like, Ida, go get the heroes now. And Ida's about to complain, but she just screams, no. And Ida was like, and pretty much rushes out there. And yeah, this is right before the pretty much Kira could get all the people out there, all the villains out of the portal. You know, then when they're finally done, and she just tells that hero to just protect the other students. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, this. And he goes like, oh, I haven't mentioned this. He has watched videos of Kung Fu. Yeah. Basically the type of Kung Fu from Kung Fu Panda. That type of Kung Fu. But in this, it's gonna be canon and be real. And he's able to use chi. And he's at the point where pretty much with his chi and mastery of Kung Fu, he's at the point where Poa gained an inner peace. That's where he's at with his chi and Kung Fu mastery. And Izuku's like, he pretty much breathes in and breathes out. And then he keeps doing that, and then, yeah, Aizawa in 13 starts seeing a glow around Izuku. And he's like, let's do this. And he pretty much springs into action. And he's faster than Ida now. So yeah, and yeah. Yeah, barely anyone knows this type of martial arts. Only that dude with the pretty much the only person in the class that's gonna know that type of martial art is gonna be the dude with that tail. Yeah, pretty much. And when Isayo starts taking down villains, Suki's already taking a quarter of the villains out. Then when Aizawa gets a quarter of the villains, Suki gets half of them. Then when Aizawa gets half of them, Suki just immediately goes. No, when Aizawa gets pretty much another quarter of the villains, Izuku gets the rest. And then Izuku and Aizawa go straight for Aizawa. Pretty much, Aizawa goes for a Shigaraki and Izuku goes for a Kirigiri. And Izuku's like, And I'm gonna say this. He has a special ability with his chi that he can do. I'm thinking it's from someone else, so please don't tell me I copied it from him. Whoever it is, can't remember the YouTuber, but please don't say I copied them. And yeah, then Izuku's like, you are not what you want. And when Izuku started fighting Kirigiri was just doing the portals. And Izuku's like, after a few seconds fighting with Kirigiri, he felt something deep inside him. And he was like, you are not what you once were. And he's like, and it pretty much makes the chi aura get bigger. Which means he's using more chi. And he's like, and yeah, I'm gonna say this is plausible. I'm just gonna say this. It's just an ability that only Izuku has for the chi. And Izuku's like, he does know how to give and take away chi. And Izuku's like, you are not what you were once before. But worry not. You will be that person. You will rest. And he goes like, worry not. You will not work for this man. And yeah, Shigaraki pretty much before Kirigiri could before Izuku could do his thing, Kirigiri brought out the no move. And Izuku's like, another creature. And he pretty much goes like, you are first. And he pretty much does the taking the chi away from Kirigiri first. And he pretty much and Shigaraki just looked Aizawa was just looking at Izuku. Well, his body was in the direction of Izuku, so he would see while fighting Shigaraki what Izuku was doing. And he saw pretty much Izuku's hands glowing green and the shadow person turning pretty much glowing yellow and having circles go to the center of the shadow person's body. And she was like, "You are mine now," and pretty much takes all the chi away and makes it so. Yeah, he is Zuko's puppet now, and he's tried this once or twice, and he pretty much picks up the upper part of his outfit, and you see a chain with a rabbit and a wolf. And Izuku puts that one in there. And he pretty much goes like, "Your turn." And he pretty much goes straight for the nose and pretty much stomps it in the face, and it sends it flying. Pretty much to a wall. And then Yomu goes straight for Izuku, and Izuku's getting ready. And gets in the stance again. And he goes like, "You have failed." Pretty much looking at Shigaraki and goes like, "You have failed." And he's heard that it pretty much he was just do it again. And this time was a tad bit harder. And he still gets it. Then he puts it on the chain that he's got. And he puts it on the part of his thing down. And then he's like, "Now, you are being arrested." And he pretty much jumps at Shigaraki while Aizawa was still going after, pretty much fighting him. And he was like, and grabs him from the back. Yeah, he still has his chi barrier up. Technically, it's a barrier. And he makes it as a barrier. Because he saw what he did to Aizawa's elbow. He just had that still happened. And he pretty much grabbed it from the back and made a chi barrier around himself. And then she was like, "Aizawa, knock this boy out." And Aizawa was like, "Alright, alright." And he pretty much keeps punching him until Shigaraki was knocked out. And it's like, and Aizawa was like, "Good job." It's like, he's pretty much, and his dude was like, there. And he's like, and then his dude was like, Also, I'm gonna say this. He has a chain. He has two chains. The one that he uses for those puppet things, and then another chain that he has pretty much wrapped around his, pretty much wrapping around his torso twice. And then he takes off that chain and pretty much ties Shigaraki in it. And as I was like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "You want the short of it or the long of it?" It's like, "Sure." It's like, basically, I made those two. Basically, I made that thing and that person my puppets. And as I was like, it's like, yeah. The long version of it is more complex. Now, we get to when all the heroes get there. And pretty much all my stars were there. And she was like, "All Might, later, I would like to speak to you." And All Might's like, "Ah. Alright then." And yeah, then we get to when the prince tried to get something out of them, but yeah, they can't get a single thing. Because no one got hurt. And, you know, if no one got hurt, they can't say that they did something bad. And they pretty much try to say that they endangered the students, and then Suga just walked up and was like, "What do you expect? This is a hero school." What, did you not think that villains would show up to, take down future heroes? If you didn't think of that, you're stupid. And the person's like, pretty much try to complain about it, but she was like, no. Just no. So yeah. Then we get to when Shugo's is talking with All Might. And Shugo's like, so, All Might, why is that injury on your... And he pretty much points on himself where exactly All Might's injury is. And All Might's like, how do you know? And it's like, and then he just points to his ears. And All Might's like, what? Basically, I can hear your heartbeat, and pretty much, as far as I can tell, you're having a hard time to breathe. So I guess where you're and I guess you got an injury. And then I imagine where the injury would be at. And there you go. And it's like, so since you have to use that, since that is your hero form, what is your original form? And he shows him that small light. He's like, so what's your quirk, really? And he tells him about One for All. And he was like, One for All. And then Izuku just gets into a thinking pose. And he's like, Midoriya? And then he's like, Then Izuku just like asks, so, All Might, is your quirk's origins from a villain? And All Might's like, how? Just ask how. He's like, well, if you pretty much turn around your quirk's title, it would be All for One. And with All for One, I see a person who could take and give quirks. And if that's true, then I would see at least this villain's brother somehow having a hidden quirk that no person could see, and his brother giving him a quirk that would make him kneel before him, but it didn't work, and pretty much he makes his own version of what the actual story is. It's almost like, that is almost the exact origin of it. It's like, oh, what's the exact actual origin of it? It's like, and he actually tells him the origin of it, and it's like, so my hypothesis about someone being able to take and give quirks was correct. And he's like, excuse me? He's like, yeah. On my way to the US train, I thought I had a hypothesis of there being a quirk that could possibly take away other quirks and give them to their people. Dude, All Might's like, how? Just how? It's like, let's just say Aizawa says I'm too smart. And it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, and then she was like, oh, and then she was like, oh, I want to try something. He's like, what? And then she just breathes in and breathes out. He does it 2 more times, and then All Might sees chi around his body. And she was like, this might hurt a little. And then he pretty much gives him chi, which I'm gonna say since he's giving him chi, that will technically be able to give him pretty much give him temporary regeneration power. all my organs started healing fast. And I was like, she was like, it's not so. And then we get to an hour later, then All Might wakes up with his bug form. And she was like, so you got you back to normal. Probably to your prime. Yeah, then pretty much that's the end of the day, and she's gonna be in a walk towards his house. And when they get to his house, she was like, so, you want to tell my mom now? And he's like, sure, why not? And Sue just walks up to the door with Mina, up to his door with Mina, and he just goes like, just opens the door and goes like, Mom, I'm home. And he's like, it's Zuku. What are you doing? He's like, I want to tell you something. He's like, yeah. Well, actually, no, he was like, I want to show you something. And he's like, yeah, what is it? And then she walks towards the door, and Zuku was like, just kisses Mina on the cheek to symbolize that they're a couple now. And Mina's like, and Inko's like, oh, my boy has a girlfriend now. It's like, really, Mom? You still call me that? It's like, yeah, you're still a boy to me. It's like, hey, at least it was someone I knew for a long time. It's like, yeah, at least it's that. And yeah, that's why we're gonna end it off for now. Well, actually, no. Mina goes like, and she was like, hey, you want to see if we can stay over for the night? And she's like, and Inko was like, and it's like, I can see. That's alright with my parents. And she pretty much calls her parents, and they say it's fine with them. And Mina's like, okay, I can stay tonight. And he was like, I think you would want to. And she was like, hey, Mom, is it alright if I walk over to Mina's house? And she's like, of course, honey. And then we get to, I'm going to say 2 hours later, and they get back with a bag for Mina with clothes in it. And they pretty much have dinner. And yeah, Mina spends the night with Suku and Inko. And yeah, they have dinner, and then they go off to sleep. Well, yeah, it's bedtime for them, and Suku's like, so... And Mina's like, I'll just sleep on this floor. And he's like, oh, no, you don't. And she's like, wait, what? Yeah, that's when they get into pajamas. And Mina tries to sleep on the floor. But Dark is like, no. And pretty much grabs her. Pretty much. Yeah, her back is turned to Zuku. Zuku just goes like, nope, and pretty much hugs her from the back and pulls down to the bed. Yeah. And she's like, okay. And yeah, then Mina goes like, oh, where do you get that from? She sees the picture of Aizawa's their teacher, and he's like, I made that. And she's like, oh, cool. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, and then they go like, and she just was like, night, Mina. And he's like, night, Zuku. And yeah, Zuku turns off the light and pretty much covers both of them. And now we get to the next morning, and they get up, they have breakfast, and they head off to the UA. And yeah, Mina and Sugu are just holding hands. And Sugu's like, so. Oh, wait, I forgot to say this. Mina tried to help, but her outfit, her hero outfit, got burnt away. Oh wait, I forgot to do the heroes versus villains. So I'm gonna do a flashback, and basically it says Araka on Izuku's team, it's Mina, and yeah, they win. And during the USJ, Mina's hero outfit got destroyed. Yeah, pretty much there's nothing of it. It was like, hey, don't worry. And she was like, yeah. And she was like, hey, don't worry. I bet you'll find a new outfit. And she's in his mind, he's like, you have no idea what I'm talking. And Mina's like, yeah, you're right. And Sue in his mind's like, because yeah, he saw something. Now we skip. Now we get to when they get to the UA, and yeah, that crowd is still there. There's pretty much a crowd of people there, and then Aizawa talks about the sports festival, and pretty much when they get to the sports festival, Suga and Mia, and Suga is like, just goes like, before they go to the US sports festival, Suga's like, I'll be right back, and he pretty much rushes to his locker in the UA and grabs a costume, and he grabs that. Yeah. Oh, and Suga's body is that, and Mina's body is that. And we get, and then he comes back with the costume, and that's when, and everybody laughed when Suga got back except Mina. And Mina's like, what are you getting, Suga? And it's like, this. And he pretty much hold his hands out, and it has the costume in his hand. And Mina's like, did you make that? And he's like, yeah. I made it just for you. I kind of made it overnight. I made it right after your. I made this one just in case your costume got burnt or destroyed. He's like, aw. And she kisses him on the cheek and goes like, that's so sweet, Zuko. She's like, yeah, I know. And then they get to the sports festival. You pretty much, yeah. No declaration of war on Tsuku. So yeah. Now we get to the race, and Zuko and Mina win. Because yeah, they're the fastest. Well, actually no, Zuko wins, because he's the fastest now. Mina gets third place. And yeah, oh, and for the cavalry battle, it's Zuko, Mina, Araka, Ida. No, it's Mina, Araka, the bird boy, and yeah, Ida. And they get first place. Then we get to the 1v1s. And pretty much when it's him against Shinto just tries to say, I bet you had a great life. And once he said that, she was just pretty much, while walking towards him, had his arms crossed, barely looking at him. not even looking at him. Like, it looks like he's not even looking at him. And he looks and then when he gets right up to, pretty much, he's right in front of Shinzo. He pretty much looks straight up at him, pretty much looks straight into his eyes, and opens his. And yeah, since he's blinded, yeah, pretty much it looks like a blinded person's eyes. And yeah, Shincho's shocked first, pretty much stuck in place for a second because he's shocked, and then he kicks him out of the ring. So he's like, don't try to mention someone's past if you don't even know it. And he pretty much walks away. Then we get to Mina's match, and she wins her match, actually. Now we get to Shoto versus Izuku. Yeah, Izuku wins, no doubt. Yeah, even with the ice, and even if, yeah, Deku didn't waste his time with saying it's your quirk. He just told, he pretty much used his full speed and pretty much kicked Shoto out of the arena. So yeah, at the end of that, and he gets first place. Wait, no. Then it goes to Izuku versus Bakugo, and he wins that easily. It's child's play to him. He actually wanted to humiliate him for a little bit, and he did. And then we get to Mina versus Izuku, and it goes like, Izuku's like, do your best, Mina. Even if you can't beat me, do your best. And she's like, she gets a sad face, and he's like, even if you can't beat me. And she, like, ooh. And then she goes, then they fight. And it's a close battle. They both were almost out for, both of them almost fell out of the arena 3 times. Okay, as I was saying, Mina and Ichigo have almost fallen out of the arena 5 times, but Ichigo won. No, Ichigo almost fell out of bounds 6 times, but Ichigo won. And Mina's like, dang it, and he's like, hey, good luck next time. So yeah, Mina gets 2nd place. And yeah, then we end off, and we're gonna end off with Izuku. Yeah, no. Then after that, he sees Ida with pretty much hatred in his eyes, going for kills, going for the kill, and yeah, Izuku's like, yeah, no, and pretty much like, pretty much quickly as possible made a beacon that would tell him exactly where Ida was. And he placed it just pretty much, it's a sticky beacon. So yeah. he pretty much just just had it on his hand and pretty much placed it on Ida's bed, and pretty much went when he heard the news of what happened to his brother, he goes "Hey, I'm sorry for what happened to your brother." And yeah, Ida would say whatever he would say, and yeah. Now we're gonna end it off with Suku and Mina walking home, and yeah, that's where we're gonna end it off now. If you guys like this, subscribe, and comment for more. Anyway, peace.